Do you remember when Barack Obama said America's involvement in Libya would last for days, not weeks? Well, as you can tell, that's not how things have turned out. It's now been almost 4 months since the defense against the Soviet Union, so it's not actually still needed, NATO, has been pounding the hell out of Libya. The regime change scheme by NATO and the US has been unsuccessful. Despite all the bombings, the attacks, the violence, the sanctions, nothing yet has been able to destabilize the government or push Gaddafi or any of his ministers out of power. Many US and European media outlets are becoming concerned, and rightfully so, that this conflict will turn into a long, drawn-out war that will involve occupation and years of placement inside the nation. Now, this seems a very likely scenario given the way things are playing out right now. Despite all the efforts, only a little bit of an oil-wealthy area is really being held. Other than that, Gaddafi still controls the vast majority of the nation, and the so-called rebels have not been able to take very much. Now, what they're worried about is that Gaddafi might take all of his forces, pull them into the city of Tripoli, and just go through one long siege, which is very likely to happen and would actually take a very long time to dislodge the regime from the capital city. And no doubt this will force NATO and the US to resort to more civilian punishing means of taking over the country and forcing Gaddafi out of power. Britain's Defense Secretary Liam Fox said this: "I'm afraid I think the chances of the opposition forces entering Tripoli is unlikely in the near future." In a further sign that opinions are changing, Russia has asked the South African President Jacob Zuma to become a part of the situation and help deal with Gaddafi. Now, Jacob Zuma has said that he has created a proposal for dealing with the situation, which would involve entering into peace negotiations, halting all U.S. and NATO attacks on Libya, and there would be a peacekeeping force of many nations under the direction of the UN and not NATO. Now, of course, such a suggestion will go completely ignored, or if it's used, NATO forces will deliberately sabotage it, because one, such an agreement would not be a guarantee of an ouster of Gaddafi, and most likely would not happen at all. Two, it would not guarantee oil resources ending up in the hands of the NATO countries. So it seems more likely that NATO will sabotage such a deal and then turn around and say Gaddafi won't cooperate. We're trying to talk it out with him, but he's being difficult and refusing to cooperate. So now we have to go ahead and use force and just outright try to kill him, admit they're trying to kill him. So they're going to twist this into their favor by deliberately sabotaging it and using this as an excuse for further attacks on Libya. It seems for the time being that this situation will definitely drag out and become a longer, more sustained war against Gaddafi. The true people who are going to suffer in this is the Libyan civilians who are killed nearly on a daily basis by NATO and US strikes. The only solution right now is the immediate withdrawal of all US and NATO forces and allowing the people of Libya to decide what it is they want to do with their nation.